Identity fraud and theft is a problem and a threat, and unfortunately it often begins or touches the DMV credential issuance process. Facial recognition is a tool DMVs can use to prevent and detect fraud, preserve business integrity, and mitigate risk. The software automates the process of photo-image matching and is designed to determine whether the person shown in one photograph is likely to be the same person shown in another photograph.
Facial recognition programs protect the public by catching people attempting to perpetrate identity theft or identity fraud. Facial recognition is also important for protecting Homeland Security by ensuring people obtaining DMV-issued identity credentials are who they say they are.
Facial recognition is a powerful tool in helping to combat fraud. Some of the basics and some of the cardinal tenets of good identification security includes knowing that someone is who they claim to be, and it's the thing that makes them them. And facial recognition allows for us to do that.
AMVA's Facial Recognition Program Best Practices Guide is a resource for jurisdictions, whether or not they currently employ a facial recognition program.
The Best Practice document has chapters covering program development, operations, technology, training, privacy issues, sharing of images, outreach and education, and some jurisdictional success stories.
DMVs with up-and-running programs can compare their business and operational practices against these best practice recommendations to improve their existing program, while DMVs just starting a facial recognition program can use the best practices document as a blueprint to help them build a strong program from the ground up.
For those jurisdictions without a current facial recognition program, this document can be used to guide the formation of such a program when enabling legislation is passed and funding necessary to implement a program is received. Toward that end, the document includes model legislation.
The model legislation was developed by the working group, then vetted by the AMVA Legal Service Discipline representatives. Any jurisdiction wishing to propose legislation that would enable them to use facial recognition can use the model legislation as a template that they can then customize to meet their specific jurisdictional needs.
The Best Practices document also contains a synopsis of the results of a jurisdiction survey on the use of facial recognition. The synopsis contains a map that shows jurisdictional adoption of facial recognition and a sampling of the types of questions asked in the survey. The document also discusses the important role building a strong working relationship between motor vehicle agencies and law enforcement plays in protecting public safety, homeland security, and identity protection. Sample memoranda of understanding are included to help jurisdictions establish and maintain a mutually successful partnership with law enforcement. Sharing of facial recognition data between DMVs and law enforcement can play an important role in meeting local, state, and federal public safety goals.
Let's take the example of a law enforcement agency that has the images of all their arrestees enrolled in a criminal justice photo image repository. When that agency has a new arrestee with a questionable identity, or if they have the photograph of a person of interest associated with an unsolved crime, they will upload the image in their law enforcement FR database if they have one. And they will only get a match if that person had previously been arrested in that particular jurisdiction and their image was captured. Motor vehicle administrations inarguably have the most robust and comprehensive photo image repository in any state or province. A substantially greater percentage of the population obtains a driver's license or identification card than gets arrested. So the chances of obtaining an FR match are equally enhanced. MVA law enforcement agreements would result in greater number of investigative leads and ultimately improve traffic and public safety.
And the benefits of using facial recognition programs go beyond preventing identity fraud and identity theft. The technology can be used to solve other kinds of crime as well.
In New Jersey alone, as a result of their scrub, they identified 6 Megan law offenders, 90 wanted persons, and numerous benefit fraudsters who possessed stolen identities. If every North American jurisdiction exercised MVA law enforcement FR partnerships, the potential number of crimes that could be solved or prevented is mind-boggling.
The Facial Recognition Program Best Practices document and the Best Practices for the Deterrence and Detection of Fraud, published in March of 2015, are intended to complement each other, and both should be used to ensure fraud deterrence and detection practices are as robust as possible to prevent fraud from happening and to detect it when it does.